fact, in a poem, there is always that present moment, which is terribly important, through which memory works. Grandmother's sari, freckles of gold poured into silk. Coil's cries, scrap of khadi, grandfather's spun. I pluck all this from my suitcase, its buckles dented, zipper torn. Also, pictures pressed into an album, parents by a rose bush, ancestors startled in sepia, eyes wide open. Why have you brought us here? I wanted actually to join the circus, and I wanted to kind of go on one of these tightrope things. I think I found in writing poetry a way to sort of make a world that was in my own head and words danced around, which is what I love about the poem. Something that you smell or touch or taste. Now, maybe just, I don't know, the taste of the ginger in this water. And it may connect up in my memory to some other taste. And that way a whole world opens up. And I think it is a sensorial art. I always have a little notebook that I put in my purse. Then I have a bigger book. I type things up and I stick it into it. I want to look at it, which is why I paste it into the notebook. I'm very envious of visual artists because they've got all this materiality and we just have bits of paper. I have lines of poems, lines that might become poems. I always tell my students that you should write things down because poetry is a poor art in the sense that we don't have an extravagance of words. We have a few that come to us and then we work them. That there's something in the lyric moment that really ruptures the taken for grantedness of the world, and something just bursts out, a kind of image. And this is really a way of remaking our sense of ourselves in the world.
White iris, the color of your eyes before you were born.
A poem of mine was set to music by an Austrian composer, Stefan Heckel, performed in Jerusalem. There you can understand each word. It was sung by a bass baritone from the Berlin Lyric Opera, Christian von Oldenburg. You could understand every single word because that was the way the music was composed. They were singing the poem, but of course, when things are set to music, a word might be repeated or a syllable. At first, I thought it was in Swedish, but they said, no, 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 it's the English. So then I listened carefully and it was the English. I wrote a poem called Fragment in Praise of the Book, which is what this piece that Jessica Ferguson did. She fragmented the poem so that pieces of it are hung together in separate ways, not necessarily the way that they are in the poem. It's part of an exhibit called the Al-Mutanabi Street exhibit. And Al-Mutanabi Street was a street in Baghdad that was of booksellers that was blown up. Book with a word for love in all the languages that flow through me. Book made of leaves from a mango tree. Book of rice paper tossed by monsoon winds. Book of pearls from grandmother's wrist. Book of bottle glass rinsed by the sea. Book of the illiterate heart. Book of alphabets burnt so the truth can be told. Book of fire on Al-Mutanabi Street. Book for a child who wakes to smoldering ash. Book of singing grief. Book of reeds vanishing as light pours through. Poetry in the end, I think, is an art of silence. Might seem a very strange thing to say, but if you did not have silence, you could not have poetry. We use words all the time in sound bites and in arguments and politics. Really, a poet uses words in a way that a painter uses color. You have to wash the words and put them against the background of silence. Otherwise, the poem could not come into existence.